Carla, did you get it?
The connection is not good. Can you repeat the question?
Can't hear us.
No. The question, can you hear this now? No. Maybe we'll have to finish that one. Yeah.
Well, can I turn camera off so
No.
the sound was really much better?
The question is really bad. We'll leave this bit for now, Carla, because the link is really bad. Okay.
Okay. So the rest of the panel want to speak.
Okay, we'll say goodbye because it's not working.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much for your speech earlier.
Well, I'm going to set the message. If you hear me clearly, so I just want to say something.
Okay, quickly.
About, I wish you all the success at your conference. What I'm going to say is, British people can do a lot of things, The most important thing now at the moment is to stop the Turkish attack. If the government do nothing, if Parliament didn't do anything, Council can do, and if the Council do nothing, people can do. And other people can make boycotts, campaign, for the Turkish goods.
Okay, that's fine. The signal's not very good, but we get your message. Okay, so I'm going to stop the connection now. Okay, thank you. I'll be in touch with you later on. Thanks a lot, Carla.
All right, Susan.
Cheers, take care. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
So go back to the question. The question
Yeah.
is there a space?
Is there a space for military intervention? I'll be very quick. I'll just apologise because we have to get a train back to London, and as you probably know, the trains to London are not very frequent or very, very good. But no is the simple answer to that. There cannot be a case for military intervention. This is what's happening in Syria already. There is already military intervention. British forces are in Syria, by the way, for people that think that Britain has been, didn't join what was happening in Syria. British forces have been there. They've been offering support both on the ground, special services. They were actually caught deep inside Syria, near Damascus. So Britain has played a very, very destabilising role. So what really needs to happen is that all foreign forces should leave Syria. This is what needs to happen. There cannot be a military solution. Just quickly, I think one point that I did want to make quickly before I leave is that the key to this really is not only sits in what we can do here, but one of the things we can do here is support the democratic forces inside Turkey. So anti-war activists inside the country are now being thrown into prison for things like social media, for tweets, for Facebook posts, for making statements against war. So the only political party inside Turkey that is opposing the war, the People's Democratic Party, the HDP, many of its MPs are currently in prison. It's the sister party of the Labour Party here. So we can put pressure on the government really and the Labour Party here to build solidarity and ensure that those people are released, because they are the key not only to unlocking democracy in Turkey but to stopping Erdogan's wars.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is a big question in the anti-war movement. Should we support Western intervention, humanitarian intervention? I remember the intervention in Iraq, the Iraq War. The intervention there has led to such a disaster on a scale that's unimaginable. The Iraq War was to stop Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction that threatened us within 45 minutes. 45 minutes. And it was a lie. It also led to not only to the destruction in Iraq, but also led to the rise of ISIS that came directly from that. Also, we had a debate in this room about Libya and about Benghazi, whether we should have intervention. There was a lot of Libyan people, there's quite a few in the area, and they were all saying, I want intervention, I want intervention. Because I can understand that. The families were there, and they wanted anything they could do to stop stop the horrors that are taking place. And same in Syria. But, as I said at the beginning, the imperialist powers they will only do something for themselves and that suits their own interests. See, divide and rule is, they built an empire on it. Britain built an empire on it. They're still teaching this in public school, divide and rule, how wonderful it was. And that's how they operate, divide and rule. That's why they have minority regimes running majority countries, minority, Sunni and Shia in Iraq. That's how they do it. But the Western intervention always has led to disaster. And for the Stop the War Coalition, it's simple. We believe that the people have the right to self-determination. They have the right to determine their own fortune and fate, free from any outside interference. Syria rapidly became a regional conflict. Everybody piled in there, right? And it crushed the revolution. We were opposed to all those interventions, and there is no short-term solutions. I see the solution to the Middle East, the problem to the Middle East, when there's going to be a long-term uprising. That's a very general uprising throughout the Middle East. And then these regimes will have to topple one after the other, not just one or two. And that will be the liberation inside the Middle East. But we have to break the back of that imperialist grip. And that means no intervention by the West, only support and solidarity with those people who are resistant.
Thank you so much. I just have one quick comment. It might be different from the list here, but when we talk about Kurds in Syria, we are talking about Syrians.
Yes.
So they are our brothers and sisters, and we are all Syrians regardless of our ethnicity and religious background. And indeed, I have a fundamental problem with the question we received on this event. The question says, I try to quote, what do we need to do politically and practically to help Kurds rebuild their society on the principles of democratic socialism? I would like to reformulate this question to ask, what do we need to do politically and practically to help all Syrians, regardless of their faith and background, across all of Syria, to rebuild their societies on the principles of democratic socialism? People can choose whatever ideology they like, fine. And this is what democracy is all about. But the thing is, why do we only focus on one particular grouping in Syria and ignore others, as if only Kurds in Syria deserve freedom? We have Kurds, we have Arabs, we have Syriacs, we have Circassians, we have different religious backgrounds, Sunni, Shia, Alawites, and so on. So I would like to be inclusive. Our aim is the same, to gain freedom. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Just before Sheila comes in there, I'd just like to say that we've been involved as RAPAR, we've been involved with Rethink Rebuild since it began. And so I completely get what you're saying about the Syrian people. And I think, Sheila may well say more about this, but the thinking behind the question was because it was all out there in the media about the Kurdish people in Syria, and we wanted to fill that vacuum and start putting some information into the situation that could counter that. But it wasn't intended to be in a silo about any particular group of people in Syria.
Yeah, I want to just go back to what's actually happened in the Rojava area. The Syrian Democratic Council consists of people from all the diverse communities that are living in that area. And despite that area being under attack from the Syrian government, the Free Syrian Army, Turkey and ISIS, the system of democratic socialism that's been devised there has been so strong that it's managed to withstand a lot of that force that's been trying to destroy it. Now, one solution would be for that way of working to be repeated as a pattern around Syria. It's very unlikely to happen, but that would be potentially a solution to that. And while you're saying that why are we focusing on Kurds, we are today, but one of the issues for the Kurds is that they're not at the talks, the political talks that are trying to find a solution to creating a constitution for Syria that would work for everybody. And if you took the people that are running the Rojava area into those talks and they were seriously listened to, what would come out would be a constitution that would look after everybody's needs, because they're not just there for Kurds, they are there for everybody.
Yes.
Thank you, Rita. I think we forgot the elephant in the room, which is Russia. I think now, since 2016 or even 2015, the most important ally for Turkey now is Russia, not the NATO. Turkey is in big conflict with many of NATO's countries. They are in good friendship now with Russia. And if the Kurds are now outside the constitutional talks in Syria, this is by permission of Russia, because Russia agreed to take them out of that because of the veto from Turkey. So we should blame Russia as well. Not only, we get used to the US. They play with not only they played with Kurds and then they left them out at the end. They played with many other minorities everywhere in the world and they leave them at the end. But now we're talking about Russia. Russia is a good friend now for Turkey, and they don't do anything to help the Kurds at all. And we should know that Turkey, when they started their offensive in October, they said that we don't care, we are happy if the areas that the US left is, if those areas went back to Russia and the Assad regime. But the Kurds are against that. The Kurds, they don't want, because they are like other Syrians, they don't want the Assad regime to go back to their areas. So we should put all of these points together to find the proper solution for the situation there.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry. I just want to make a comment on that. Of course, the Kurds don't want the Syrian regime to return. The Russians are a very important key role in all the talks have been going around in Asitana and Sochi. The agreements have been going on. But our real problem, what the Kurds in Syria, they are represented in the Syrian Democratic Council and represented in the self-determination of Northeast Syria.